One test, taken at age 11, sealed in an envelope your parents never opened. The number inside was never the gift people assume. It began something else entirely. A life spent translating yourself into something smaller. You remember the weight of that envelope. In your hands, what did that number cost you? Tonight, we answer it. Start with the envelope itself. You handed it to a parent, who read it quietly. You watched their face for a signal you never fully got. Pride mixed with something else. Caution, maybe. A flicker of worry disguised as a smile. Nobody explained what the number meant. They only changed slightly in how they spoke to you afterward. More careful, more formal. As if you had crossed into a category requiring different handling. Nobody wanted to handle it wrong. Go back to the years before the envelope. The mind was already working long before measured. You noticed patterns other children missed. You finished books meant for readers years older. Then reached for the next one before anyone thought to ask if you needed more. You asked questions that made adults pause, not because they were rude, but unanswerable. A child who asks why the sky changes color expects wonder in return, easily given. A child who asks why a story does not add up expects something closer to silence. You learned early which questions earned delight, and which ones earned a change of subject. There was a particular kind of loneliness in this, one worth naming plainly, honestly. Other children your age wanted playmates who matched their pace, always, without exception. You often found yourself slowing down mid-game so a friend would not notice the gap. You learned to lose at checkers on purpose before you were 9, watching her relax. Nobody taught you this strategy directly. You built it watching what made people stay, and what made them quietly drift toward someone else instead, entirely, without a word. By the time the number arrived, you had built a private habit of downshifting already. In school, you learned the exact pace that let you finish work without finishing first. You learned to let a classmate arrive at an answer you already held, again and again. Because arriving first cost you a friend, teachers called you a pleasure to have in class. And meant it, never noticing the pleasure came from a girl working to seem ordinary. Extraordinary was not safe. Ordinary got invited to birthday parties. A fair trade, she decided. Watch how this shaped the woman you became. In meetings, you calculate the room first. Not from insecurity, but because the full thought, unfiltered, changes how people treat you. You round down your own intelligence in conversation, the way some round down a salary. Out of habit, out of a decades-old instinct, the full number invites different attention. You solve problems quietly, then hand credit to someone else, a woman right too often. Visibly, gets called something other than smart. You learned the word before turning 15. Intense, intimidating, a lot. There is a specific version of this at work, precisely. A project stalls, and you see the fix within the first 10 minutes of the meeting. But you wait, letting 2 or 3 others circle the same conclusion slowly, aloud, congratulating themselves along the way. Only once someone nears your answer do you offer it. Careful to frame it as building on what they already said. Practiced. Seamless. You have done this so often it no longer feels like strategy. It feels like manners. Nobody in that room ever knows how many minutes you spent waiting for permission. Name the cost honestly. Because there was one, it deserves better than a quick dismissal. You spent decades feeling slightly out of sync with rooms full of people who liked you and never fully saw you. Small talk exhausted you in a way hard to explain. So you stopped explaining and simply endured it. You dated men who admired your mind. For exactly 6 weeks before it became the very thing they resented, quietly, consistently. There is a version of this story in romantic relationships too, quieter but no less costly. You learn to ask questions that let a partner arrive at his own insight instead. Because men who felt outpaced too often disappeared within weeks, quietly, without explanation. You spent years managing not just your own intelligence, but a partner's fragile ego. Translating your thoughts into a size that would not threaten him, and calling it romance. It took a long time to notice the men worth keeping never needed the management. You built friendships where you translated yourself down, sentence by sentence, carefully, for years. Until the friendship felt comfortable to everyone, except the parts of you doing the translating. Loneliness, for a woman like you, rarely looks like an empty room. It looks full. Where you are still doing all the reaching, there is a specific grief in this. Being praised for a trait you then had to spend a lifetime managing carefully. People told you the number was a gift. They rarely mentioned the bill that came. The bill included isolation dressed as maturity, the constant labor of pre-chewing your thoughts, before offering them to a room, and a private suspicion on the hardest nights that maybe you were simply too much for the ordinary shape of a life. That suspicion is not the truth. It is only the residue of decades of shrinking. But look at what the mind built alongside the isolation. The ledger has another side. You see patterns before anyone names them. You read a room with real accuracy, a contract or a person's tone, an accuracy most take a lifetime to develop. If they develop it at all, you solved your own problems for so long that you built a genuine, quiet confidence in your own thinking, unaided, unwitnessed. That does not need an audience to hold steady. The same mind built an adult who reads situations 3 steps ahead of the people around her, rarely surprised, calmly certain. Here is the part almost nobody says to a woman like you, plainly, honestly. The intelligence was never the problem. The world's discomfort with it early was. And you spent your whole life absorbing a discomfort that was never yours to carry. You did not need to be smaller. You needed a room built to hold your size. Nobody handed you one, so you built your own instead, brick by brick, alone. You are allowed to stop rounding down now, say the full thought once plainly. In a room that has earned it, without softening the edges first, ever again. You are allowed to let someone else feel the discomfort of your accuracy instead of absorbing it yourself the way you have for 40 years, quietly, no longer. The translating served its purpose. It kept you safe in rooms not ready for you. It does not have to run forever, so tonight, picture that envelope again, sealed. Handed over, opened by someone else's hands before you fully understood what it meant. The number inside was never too much. It was simply early, arriving too soon. In a childhood that had no place ready to receive it, it found one anyway. It built one, quietly, over 4 decades, and that place is standing right now. And it is yours entirely, completely, finally hers to keep without apology. Sit with that if you want. I will sit with it too. You do not have to figure out the rest tonight.